You are right up my street.
Oh, you can't make me choose.
I-Go by Toyota sponsors T4.
Fuck me, Lee Ryan's 13.
Marley.
I remember we couldn't remember the word for table.
This is Your Welcome America Presents Search for the Next Doll, don't ya? I am your host, Frazer like Razor, and you may notice that I am here all by myself. So my co-host Ben has actually gone to check on the Your Welcome America servers just to make sure everything's running properly, and as we all know, they are located on a barge on international waters between the US and the UK. So he's going to be gone for a few weeks and you are stuck with just me. So I decided in my infinite wisdom, without Ben, what I'm going to do is recap all 8 episodes of the 2007 reality show, PUSSYCAT Dolls Present Search for the Next Doll. I do think that me being alone and doing this is going to be a documented kind of diary of someone going slowly insane, talking to themselves. So enjoy that, everyone, and please, send help when needed. So this show aired in 2007. In America, it aired on the CW. Back in the UK, it was on T4. Shout out to my UK T4 viewers. And I saw on Wikipedia, it was also on Channel 10 in Australia. Sorry, Australians, I think I fucked that up. And basically, it's a reality show searching for a new member of the Pussycat Dolls, which is very strange. Already 6 of them. Why would you add another person and have 7? I guess to make money and make people like the Pussycat Dolls more? Who knows? What I will say is I think this show came out after I left uni. I think it was very in the early days of when I left uni, and I was very, very invested in this and the follow-up show, Girlicious, with the new girl band that was made. We will talk about Girlicious at another occasion. So let's just get into it. Otherwise, it's going to be way too much of me just talking to myself.
Early mornings, long rehearsal, and 24-hour commitment.
Work it, work it, work it,
Don't dance like this. Out of here. Now the competition really begins.
So it opens on a nice big kind of glossy opening with Mark McGrath, which is already funny, doing a voiceover talking about all the things that the Pussycat Dolls have achieved at this point. He says that they've released 6 singles. Now, I don't want to call Mark McGrath a liar until this show. I looked and it said that the first 6 singles released are Sway, Don't Ya, Stick With You, Beep Buttons, I Don't Need a Man. But I think in this show, they're including Wait a Minute. So I think what they're actually doing is doing a bit of erasure and pretending that Sway was never a single. According to Wikipedia, it was a goddamn single. Speaking of Sway, at uni, me and my friend Caroline were obsessed with the beginning of it where it's like bum da 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 da. Anyway, so these are the songs that minus Sway, these are the songs that you're going to hear I think 5 billion times in every episode of this show. But then weirdly it says the executive producer is McG. Now my brain is telling me, because it's broken and these are the only things that I know, that McG was the executive producer of the Charlie's Angels reboots with Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore and Lucy Liu. So I'm like, when did they come out? Did McG make this show as well as Charlie's Angels? It's just a lot for one genius to produce. Anyway, and we have some kind of opening titles, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so we open up on the Warner Grand Theatre. Now, I had to Google this because I was like, I've never heard of this theatre, but we're getting a lot of establishing shots of Hollywood, California here in Los Angeles. Not even LA, Hollywood. So I was like, I've never seen the Warner Grand Theatre in Hollywood. I Googled it. It's in Long Beach. Long Beach is not close to Hollywood, I'm telling you. That's like having a show that's very like London-centric and then suddenly being at like a theatre in Milton Keynes. And then being like, hey, look, we're in glamorous London. We're in the West End, but you're in like Milton Keynes. No offense to anyone from Milton Keynes, but it's the best equivalent I could think of. So first of all, we know these poor girls are in Long Beach. So Mark McGrath and his very strange nostrils come out. He's got very tiny little nostrils, I noticed. I don't really remember much about Mark McGrath. I feel like Sugar Ray never really had anything in the UK. feel free. I've got no one to counter me on that, so I guess tell me if you think that they were popular. I feel like I just remember that song that was like, come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar baby, and that was Crazy Town. So that's not even Sugar Ray. And then the only other people I can think of are LFO. Remember LFO? I like girls who wear Abercrombie and Fitch. Chinese food makes me sick. What a strange song. Wonder what they're doing. So we kind of find out that this whole thing is being masterminded by Robin Anton, and she is the person who created the Pussycat Dolls. I think her brother is another executive producer on this as well. And then this is kind of the weird part of this show. So obviously we're so used to seeing reality competition shows, especially about singing, people from like the very early audition stages. We're so used to seeing that being like your introduction to each kind of character on the show is like they get their big audition moment. Because this is 2007 and we're just fucking flying by the seat of our pants, they just show the actual early auditions in like a very quick montage. We see a lot of girls like doing the splits in crop tops in what looks to be horrendous hotel function rooms. They seem to have draped a blue piece of fabric but not framed the shots properly, so you can see the edge of the fabric and then like the folding tables and chairs that have been like tucked away in the conference room in the corner, and all these poor girls in like waist belts like trying to do cartwheels and being like, oh, don't ya, da, 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 da. Don't ya, baby, don't ya. Also, I am recording this in my apartment, and I do worry that I'm sitting quite close to my front door, and I do worry that people in my building, but they're going to be passing in the corridor, they're going to be hearing this kind of descent into insanity that I'm doing. But hey ho, what are you going to do? Yeah, and in this shot, we'd see a lot of people trying to sing "Stick With You," which I have to say is a really good song. I mean, the whole song's kind of boring, but it's all worth it just for that bit in the middle, like the middle part moment where she's like, and I, da, 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 da. Baby, I'm with you. Baby, I'm with you. Don't you worry about people thinking about. Everyone's strapping because there's going to be a lot of me singing by myself. What we're going to be seeing on the show is the semi-finals onwards. So Mark McGrath comes out and he's like, welcome to Hollywood, which is a huge lie. He should have said, welcome to Long Beach. And then basically they're all standing on the stage at the Warner Grand Theater in LA's glitzy Hollywood Long Beach. And, you know, the girls are all screaming. They're really excited. I think everyone's wearing a crop top. I did make a note that just says, did I see a ruched crop trouser? Which I think is like a kind of a, yeah, almost like a Venetian blind trouser, but it was cropped, so it was like a pedal pusher. And I think the girl was wearing it with black stiletto heels. 2007 was such a strange time. I feel like everyone in the show is wearing like 5 belts, like a hat with like another belt attached to it, and then everything's cropped. I mean, we'll get into the outfits and the performances later, but there is a girl who's definitely wearing Britney's Me Against the Music outfit, but I don't know if that song had even been released yet. And we'll find out. So we get like a glimpse into some of the girls that we're going to be meeting. So there's Brittany, age 20 from Virginia Beach. She's all about female empowerment. I don't really know what else to say about her. Then we meet the star of this episode, Angelia. I'm obsessed with Angelia. She, you know, spoiler alert, is only in this episode, but good God, does she pack a punch. She's age 20 from a place called Tom's River in New Jersey. And while she's talking about, like, you know, how she's always wanted to be famous, yada, yada. They inexplicably flash up this picture of her standing back to back with, I think, a Michael Jackson impersonator. Maybe not the real Michael Jackson. And it's never referenced again. I was like, Angelia, what are you doing? Are you part of like a Michael Jackson tribute act? But then who are you? Because there was Michael Jackson, and then she was kind of standing with him. Is she Janet? I mean, this is 2007, so maybe she was Janet. Uh-oh. Needless to say, I'm obsessed with Angelia. She is a lot. Then we take a wild turn with a girl called Sandra, who just right out of the gate just talks about the fact that her whole family died in a plane crash that she was meant to be on. That is super intense, and there's a lot of like whiplash moments with her throughout this where she brings up her family dying in a plane crash, and it's really sad and like not the kind of thing that should be talked about on a Search for the Next Pussycat Dolls show. And then I think the other girl we meet is Asia, who's only 18, and she is a teenage mother, so that's her whole thing. Now I will say I have seen this show, so I do actually know who wins, in quote marks, but I'm gonna just keep that information to myself and pretend that I'm watching this for the first time. Okay, so day one starts with a lie, shots of Sunset Boulevard. I know that, like, I don't know my geography too well in LA, but I know that Sunset Boulevard does not reach all the way down to Long Beach, okay? So you cannot tell me these are shots of Sunset Boulevard and we're in Long Beach, okay? Okay? The girls, you know, there's some fun. One of the girls burping, another girl, she's old, she's 24, she says she's an old lady, whatever. So then the girls are all kind of gathered in a function room, and Robin Anton comes in, and she comes in, so there's the kind of musical director, John Beasley. Okay, I got very confused trying to look up John Beasley. Apparently there's also someone in The Purge called John Beasley, so who knows? I think our one that we're meeting he was like a musical director on this show and maybe American Idol. I like to think that he was very versatile, and he's also in The Purge. So there's him, obviously Robin Anton, and then we see Mikey Minden. Mikey. Now, Mikey's been on my radar for quite a few years because of this show, okay? I knew this guy trip-tropping around with the Pussycat Dolls. And as you may or may not know, listeners of this show, I am a huge Real Housewives fan. So then when Erica Jane joined Real Housewives of Beverly Hills a few years ago, she was like, oh, this is my choreographer, you know, musical director. I don't know what he does for Erica Jane, because she's apparently a pop star. So he swept into the scene, and then Mikey became a kind of tertiary character on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And he's still clinging on, actually, even though Erica is literally going down in flames on this current season, which is rough. So it's good to see Mikey again. So Robin reveals that they're going to be split into 3 different groups, all kind of 18 of them, and they're going to have 3 different songs, which they're going to kind of learn to sing and do the choreography for, and then perform it after 3 days of kind of rehearsal. So the songs are Buttons, I Don't Need a Man, and Looking for Your Hot Stuff, Baby I Need It. So they're going to be the 3 songs, and they kind of all get divided up. I couldn't keep up with who everyone was. I feel like about 5 different people are called Melissa. So there's Melissa S, Melissa R, Melissa G, Melissa X, so whatever. Everyone's called Melissa. We get introduced to Chelsea. Her kind of backstory is that she lost a lot of weight and that she can't dance. Then we get to meet a character with a name that I found confounding. Shantae. Shantae, spelled Shauntae. Shantae. Shantae. I know Shantae was telling us her kind of backstory, which I think might have been sad, but I was completely blinded by the fact that she was wearing like a sideways, almost completely off to the side, Baker Boy hat that had a brooch on the top of it. Oh my God. Why is it every show we do, people are wearing Baker Boy hats? I guess it's because we're obsessed with the mid-2000s, so that's why. So we start with the Hot Stuff group doing choreography. Melissa something tells a huge lie and says that she's like, even though Mikey's gay, I think he's really sexy. It's like, Melissa, babes, you don't mean that. Maybe I'm being mean. I don't know. All I do know is that Mikey's wearing one of those, remember those black skull scarves that everyone had at a certain point in 2007, 2006? Kind of a long drapey, like, scarf with, like, white skulls on it. Oh, guys, my neighbors are leaving their house. I don't want them to hear me talking about Mikey Minton. So we see that girl called Mariella. I think that's her name. She does like a some kind of leg split. I just wrote the note, come on, Mariella. Then we get to meet the true queen of my heart, Cicely. Cicely, she kind of talks about how she used to be in a punk rock band that she quit to do Search for the Next Doll. I've got a lot of time for Cicely. She's the one that said that she's old and she's 24. But I did like in her thing that it said that she was from Long Beach. Yeah, I don't even think production even had to pay to get a car for Cicely. I think she was just like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll walk to the theatre. It's just around the corner. My next note just says, Shantae is wearing 3 bracelets and cropped sweatpants with heels. So yeah, she was wearing like a tracksuit bottom or sweatpant as they are called in America. Yeah, with like I think they were elasticated so that they were kind of cropped. And she's wearing them with black stiletto heels, which is fair enough. I actually think it's pretty smart because you want to be comfortable when you're doing choreo, but you need to remember that you're going to be performing in heels. So actually, I don't know why I made that snarky note about Shantae. She knows exactly what she's doing. The next group they cut to is I Don't Need a Man. And I really just wrote down, what a song. many moons ago, I was at a children's birthday party back in the UK, and inexplicably, me and two friends were at this children's birthday party, and we were playing songs and, you know, entertaining these young children. So we put on I Don't Need a Man, and we proceeded to tell these young girls, I think were maybe 4 or 5, we were telling them it was a very important song, and they needed to learn that they didn't need a man to complete them. So there you go, influencing and shaping the next generation with the song I Don't Need a Man. What a great song. That we find out this is where Chelsea kind of admits that she can't dance. So they kind of start doing the choreo, and then, Angelia, my girl Angelia, she's not feeling so well. She's looking a bit faint. Mikey is not happy about it. He's like, ugh, I can't deal with fainting girls. Ugh, whatever. So at this point, Angelia, who definitely has COVID, by the way, and I think is patient 0 for COVID, as we find out in the rest of this episode, she can't stand up anymore to do the choreo, so she sits on the floor, like collapses, and then they just show her doing like the choreo, but from the floor. Now, I'm sorry, but that is a fucking professional, okay? She's like, how did he meant to make it happen? Just like sprawled on the floor dying, but those arms are still moving. That's what the Pussycat Dolls would do, okay? Tell me they wouldn't. Next, we go into kind of the music room, which is clearly another function room of the hotel where they've like dragged a piano, and it's the group that are doing Buttons. And I'm sorry, but there is nothing funnier than hearing the melody of Buttons being played on a piano. That poor guy was literally like, dun 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 dun. You've been saying all the right things all night long. It's like the most clompy song. Like, oh, let's hear a lovely piano arrangement of Buttons. Very reminiscent of when my friend Charlie accidentally downloaded a piano version of Whip My Hair by Willow Smith. It's just like, I've definitely talked about that on this podcast before, but it feels worth mentioning again. You've not lived until you've had the piano version of Whip My Hair. This is also where they show Sandra. She's kind of fucking up. Like, she basically can't get the melody to that bit that I was singing. You've been saying all the right things all night long. And they're like, oh, you don't have the melody. There really isn't a melody. It's literally like... But I guess, you know, who am I to argue with the greats? The great music writers and songwriters that came up with Buttons. And they kind of round out that day's performance back with the Hot Stuff group. And really, it's all about how Mikey is just berating poor Shantae and saying that she hasn't got what the other girls have in that group. Poor Shantae. I tell you what she does have, and that's a Baker Boy hat with a brooch on it. Do you have one of them, Mikey Minden? I don't think you do. So shut your fucking face, okay? And leave Shantae alone. So they basically, at this point, clearly kind of sequestered these poor girls in a, like, ropey hotel in Long Beach. Yeah, I feel like I saw, like, a Marriott, like a Courtyard Marriott or something. These poor girls are definitely all being, like, performing here and sleeping here, because basically we get some like evening footage and all the groups are, you know, they've gone back to their rooms and they're all gonna kind of rehearse together. There's a lot of singing into water bottles happening. Looking for your hot stuff, baby, I need it. Those poor people in the Courtyard Marriott in Long Beach. Imagine if you were there for like a conference and you were just like, oh fucking hell, all I've heard is five women caterwauling a very strange version of Hot Stuff by Donna Summer through the wall of my hotel room at the Courtyard Marriott. And then basically, this really is where my queen Cicely shows what she's made of. She's like, I'm going to bed. I'm 24, okay? I'm old, and I'm going to bed because I'm going to rest my voice because I'm in a rock band, and I know that you should rest your instrument. And the other girl's like, Cicely's such a bitch. She's going to bed. Now, let me tell you something. Back in the day, I remember watching this and I was like, oh, Cicely, what a bitch. She's going to bed. Now I'm, you know, around the age 24. Now I'm as old as Cicely at 24. She's right. They should go to bed. Staying up until like 4 a.m. doing choreography is going to make you literally insane. This is when we know. This is when we get sown some seeds. So we come back on day 2. And this is when they start sowing the seeds that something dark is coming. Something wicked this way comes. You know, they show one of the groups kind of standing at the piano singing, yada, yada, and the door opens. Angelia walks in. Now, at this point, we're living in a world with a literal airborne virus going around. And we're like, not in rooms together or wearing masks, all this kind of shit. Angelia, she just strolls into that hotel conference room. I mean, she doesn't stand that close to the girls, so I'll give her that she's, addressing some kind of 6-foot thing. She just strolls in and she's like, hey guys, I've got a virus. And all the other girls are so disgusted. Especially that girl, I think she's called Anastasia, the really tall one. She's like, is it contagious? And again, I think back in the day, I was like, wow, that girl's a real bitch. She's really not supporting that girl that has a virus. And now, obviously, knowing what we know, 2020, 2021, it's like, oh yeah, she has a virus. She's got to go. They should just get rid. And by that, I mean, she should be dead. So day 3, which I've actually called day 3, the plague. So this is when Cicely's group, the ones that are doing hot stuff, they're all rehearsing and they sound really, really bad. And then they're all like, well, actually, it's because one of the members wouldn't stay up until 4 a.m. singing hot stuff with us. And Cicely, quite rightly, my queen Cicely, is like, no, that's the reason I can sing this morning and none of the rest of you can, because I went to bed. I'm sorry, she's right. They're all damn fools. Melissa this and Susan that and, whatever all their names are. I just only know Cicely's name. Cicely, Angelia, and Shantae. They're the only names that burnt into my mind after this episode. So at this point, Robin came in and I seriously thought she was coming in to step in and be like, hey, you 24-year-old hag, you old woman. I can't believe you went to bed. I thought it was going to be this whole big scene where she was kind of going to talk about you need to be a group, you this, and this. No. She just announces that they're all going to go and spread whatever viruses they all have at a Pussycat Dolls show. She tells them they have 15 minutes to get ready, and they basically all run screaming out of the conference room. And Robin Hunter just screams after them, look cute, no crimped hair. I was like, crimped hair? Who's crimping their hair? Were people crimping their hair in 2007? I thought crimping was really 90s. I guess people are probably crimping their hair again now, but I feel 2007, it was just no crimping. It was extreme straighteners. You weren't nobody unless you had a extremely poker straight kind of glossy mane, maybe with some stripy kind of badger highlights in it as well. So they at this point, they go and show them all at the Pussycat Dolls show somewhere in LA, who knows? And they keep cutting back to poor old Angelia, who's just, she's got her glasses on, she's in bed, patient zero of this virus. So then the girls actually, a part of this is they get to meet the Pussycat Dolls after the show. A very, very small dressing room. I mean, there's already 6 Pussycat Dolls and then 17 potential dolls all crammed in this dressing room. Again, a really great situation to be spreading a virus. At this point, Nicole inexplicably says, welcome to LA, or as we like to call it, Pussycat Doll Land. Now, I can tell you, obviously I wasn't here in 2007, but I have not heard anyone refer to it as Pussycat Doll Land just yet. I mean, I might start doing it, I guess. Nicole Scherzinger, where does she live right now? The UK? Or does she live in the south of France? I don't know. I know Ashley Roberts lives in the UK, and Kimberly, whatever her name is for the Pussycat Dolls, I think she also lives in the UK now as well. Wonder what Melody's doing. Anyway. So oh my God, this is so dark. So they're leaving the show. One of the girls, I think she's called Jamie. She's like, tell you what, I'm not feeling so great. They just follow her into the toilet and just have a straight up just a shot of her vomiting in the toilet, which is really nice. So Jamie's down. Then at this point, they cut to this other girl who we've not heard hide nor hair of. I think she's called Ava. Just vomiting in a bush outside the concert venue. So it's uh-oh. What we know now, we did not know then about trying to contain a virus. What kind of precedes that is then a montage of just lots of the girls throwing up, talking about shitting. It was quite triggering to see it through this current lens. I have to admit, I wasn't expecting the first episode to be filled with an airborne virus, but, that's just life imitating art, imitating life, as the greats say. What am I talking about? Okay, so we're on to the final day, the performance day. It opens with these poor girls all getting actually checked out by medics. It was so rough. So many shots of girls laying in kind of Courtyard Marriott single beds, just looking really, really sad. I actually do feel really bad for them, because it's the one thing you wouldn't expect to happen is to get an airborne virus when you're meant to be auditioning to be the 7th member of the Pussycat Dolls. At this point, there's a great interview with Chelsea. She's laying face down on the hotel couch in her room, but she's being interviewed laying face down with just her face turned to the side, talking to the camera. I love that she was literally so weak she couldn't even sit up to have the interview. She's laying face down. She's like, I don't feel so great. Then they have the goddamn audacity to be showing in like interstitial shots Hollywood, California, Los Angeles, California. Being like, hey, these girls are sick, but at least they're in glamorous Hollywood. They're in Long Beach, okay? This is when my queen, Cicely, is standing in the corridor. She's like, well, you know, doesn't happen if you go to bed early, does it? They all fucking hate her. Oh my God, I love her so much. Oh, she's the best. We're treated to a lovely shot of one of the girls throwing up into a plastic bag in the van on the way to the theatre to do their final performances. It's like, this is disgusting. It's giving me real, I think because this is on CW and it's around the same time, I really felt like it was made from the America's Next Top Model kind of mold. Felt just the way it looked and the way everyone was dressed and just the style of it. I was like, oh my God, am I watching America's Next Top Model? Which is obviously going to be a series I can never actually tackle for this podcast because I think my brain will melt. So they get to the theatre. This part is so funny. The girls are all gathered on stage and Robin Anton's there, and then basically Mark McGrath has to announce to them that there are literal doctors and IVs waiting for them at the side of the stage. And while they're like introducing, like doing this, two of the girls have to go and lay on these blankets by the side of the stage and get given IVs. It's so funny because then Nicole Scherzinger comes out. She's going to be like the special guest judge. And she's like, just do what you got to do. And you got to be fierce and be a doll in her like weird kind of Michael Jackson voice. And they keep, every time she's talking about giving them a pep talk, they got to that girl Chelsea, or I can't remember what the other girl's called, Sandra. And they're just like laying on the floor with IVs. Very good. It's great television. I will say that when Nicole walked onto the stage, they played Don't Ya. And actually, I think what I was going to try and do was take account of how many times the song Don't Ya was played in this episode, and it just got actually to be too much. So what I will say is if you haven't watched this and this recap is making you consider watching it, you really need to be okay with those first 6 singles. Otherwise, you're going to get so angry. Okay, so the first group come out. They're the ones doing hot stuff. And I think Shantae, oh God, she starts with it. Her vocals, whoa, mama. She's literally like, so I tried, but I won't give in. She sounded terrible. And then there's the other girl in the group called Mariella. I think she was in a bikini, like just a full-on bikini. Like I feel like they were shorts and a bikini top, but it was quite the outfit. I mean, good for her. She looked great. One of the Melissas, I think it's Melissa S. She did a good job. She kind of saved the show in her kind of stripy dress. And then my queen Cicely was in this group. She's dead rocky. She just wore jeans. The rest of them all in like hot pants, you know, different crop tops, leggings, all kinds of get-ups. She was just wearing jeans and like a dead rocky t-shirt. She's a rock chick. What can I say? God, do you remember when people got called rock chicks? Ugh, what a horrible term. Chick, it's just a horrible word. Does anyone remember groovy chick? That was a real thing for a while. I feel like every girl I knew had like a groovy chick pencil case at school. Oh God, I really hope that's not coming back. Anyone out there listening that knows teenagers, are they using groovy chick stationery at school these days? So the girls come out for the next group, the ones that do loosen up my buttons, babe. And that poor girl Sandra that was on a drip, she's dressed like a sexy office manager. Yeah, she's wearing like a denim skirt with a white shirt that she's tied up around the waist. Yeah, she looks like an office manager who's like letting her hair down after work. I just made the note, Asia is a star. She was great in this group. And then they kind of finished this one, and there was a girl whose name is never mentioned. She's like a ghost haunting this one. I'm going to call her Barbara. So they just, you know, they don't even show her in a close-up. Just in the wide, I spotted Barbara was wearing, I think, like a black bra with some fishnet over it, black hot pants, and then those horrendous white fluffy like go-go dancer boots from like people who go to raves. It's like, oh, Barbara. Not a good look for you. This is why she didn't even get 1 second of airtime. She literally doesn't utter a word in this episode. Poor Barbara. Justice for Barbara. And the final group. Whoo, mama. This is the I Don't Need a Man group. They are so bad. Let's just talk about Angelia's outfit for a second. Now, I think this is the one where she's definitely taken inspiration from Britney's Me Against the Music. So she's wearing a trilby, she's wearing a necktie, and then underneath the necktie is kind of like a vest top with like another top over the top of it. But there was no collar for the tie, I know that much. The tie was very much just draped around her neck. And there was also like a diamante pin on the tie as well. It was a real confounding look. But I can't be angry at her because that was really a style and a look at the time. So again, shout out to my girl Angelia. And then, oh my God, the cutaways to the judges during this performance, they were all just like, goo, goo. It literally ends with all of them, like, they show like a wide shot and only like 2 of them are doing the choreography. One of these girls is literally just standing there holding a microphone. And then this song ends and it's like, can often you ain't around, oh, and like each one of them is singing like a different part of that line or those lines. Literally, it's not even like they're singing the same line and some of them sound bad. Some of them are singing just completely different parts of the song and it just kind of ends and they're all like, go, 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 go. So then they come out and we get the final lineup of girls that are going to be kind of the main focus of the show. So they're going to be the ones that we're going to kind of be with for the next 7 weeks. So it's Anastasia. She's the tall one who actually knew about viruses and how to not spread an airborne virus. So I like her a lot. We had Mariella. I know that she could do a standing split, so she's great. We've got my queen Cicely and Brittany. I don't remember much about Brittany. I just know she had very straightened hair and a really big mouth. Melissa S. Couldn't tell you which Melissa she was. Jamie, that's the girl they showed throwing up. Melissa R, another Melissa. Asia, who's a star. And Chelsea, who was interviewed face down on the sofa. So those are going to be the final girls. And then a lot of other girls whose names we're never even given. Poor Barbara's just literally, she's almost like yanked off the stage. One of those like vaudeville hooks. They're like, Barbara, you and your fluffy boots, you're done. Get off the stage. And then one of the episode ends, and I forgot that this was like the mechanic of this show, is that each girl gets given a pink feather boa. I think they have to give the boa back when they are like kicked out of the show. Very reminiscent of that BBC show searching for the next Dorothy from Wizard of Oz. Didn't they have to get on a rainbow and fly off at the end and sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow when they got eliminated? Now that is really funny. That is camp. I just think you remember girls like holding back tears, sitting on like a rainbow, being like somewhere. And I think all the other contestants had to wave at them as they left on like a mechanical rainbow. Oh, well, we've come to the end of that episode. I mean, these are going to be a little shorter because I am by myself. And, you know, compared to some of the other shows that we've done, a little less meat on the bone in this one. But seriously, what meat is there is succulent and juicy and very, very funny. So thank you for listening. And I'm sorry if you've come just to hear Ben and you've been stuck with just me. I apologize profusely for that. But I'm going to be here for another 7 weeks. And he may be back from checking out the servers in international waters, so you never know. It might just not be me for the end of this. All of the episodes are still currently on YouTube, so please do watch along if you've enjoyed kind of recapping. I'd love to hear from you guys if you're watching, your thoughts, your feelings about Search for the Next Doll. And what I really want is everyone to love this so that Ben is forced to do the second series, which is the Girlicious Search for that new girl band Girlicious, because I really want to get into that one, but I just can't do it if this one's not going to be popular enough. So help me out here, people. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.
You are right up my street.
Oh, you can't make me choose.
I go by Toyota. Sponsors T4.
Fuck me, Lee Ryan's 13.
I remember we couldn't remember the word for table.